regular council meeting of Wednesday, June 7th, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Johnston, thank you. All those in favor? I do this every time. I never know if I'm supposed to. I'm like, that's the one thing.
In favor, start the meeting?
No, totally.
No, we don't start.
Alrighty. Item number 2, adoption of agenda. That council adopts the agenda. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Woodall, thank you. Okay. Discussion? None? You're all good? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. I have to go a bit slower tonight. I'm so sorry. I'm going to try. Adoption of the minutes. 3.1 recommendation. The council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on May 3rd. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All right. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. 3.2 recommendation that council adopts the minutes from the regular council meeting held on May 17th, 2023. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Johnston, thank you very much. Discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Okay. Item number 4, introduction of late items. We do have a late item coming in. This is in regards to the bulletin board, so late item 8.4, the bulletin board art submissions from the elementary school. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? No? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous and carried. Public hearings, there's none. Delegations, none. Unfinished business and business of writing from the minutes, none. Item 8, new business. 8.1 recommendation.
The council receives the report for discussion and decides if they would like to contribute to the 2023 art program. Or I can't do this one. I must recuse myself.
Alrighty, so here we go.
There we go.
So the council receives the report for discussion and
decides,
sir. If they would like to contribute to the 2023 art program that is being put on by the Coos-Coopee Library and Dawson Creek Art Gallery.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnson, thank you. I'm aware you both need to recuse yourselves.
Yep.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
I can't believe I read that halfway through and realized.
No worries. Pop on out.
Yep.
And then we'll holler when you can return.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen. Just want to pull that door close behind you. Thank you. Alrighty, so let me just get there. My computer is being a pain or something. It's not being a pain as bad as it was last time. It's being a pain. I should correct that. Alrighty, so this is in regard to the presentation that we had at the last meeting on May 17th. Are you still trying to get there? That starts on page 50 to 56. You're welcome. So basically the art gallery is looking to team up with our school, with our Coos-Coopee Public Library to put on free art classes to the community over the summer. And so they're just looking to see if the village of Coos-Coopee would be willing to fund this because it goes over and above the library's board budget and it's something that is for the entire community. So they are asking for the total cost of $780. I have had staff look into this. There is money in our discretionary fund for this if we decide to do it. Am I correct, Ms. in there? Correct. That's correct. So, discussion? Yeah, Councillor Whittle.
So I guess this is kind of short notice to be able to look at grants or anything like community. Like, is there anything grants available that we could go after?
No, such a small amount.
Yeah, it's $700. And how many students did they?
Well, it would be open to the public. So it's free open art classes to the public of Coos-Coopee for anybody who would like.
Here for your presentation. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And they want $700.
Yeah, $780.
Anybody.
Anybody, everybody from ages, children. I think they'll probably have like an age limit on how young, right? Because they don't want to have a bunch of 3-year-olds running around without their parents kind of a deal, but.
It's a Coos-Coopee community.
Yeah.
I would be into that.
Yeah, and you know what, it's $700 and at the end of the day, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You give it a shot, see how it goes, and then.
Yeah, and this is like a pilot thing, so this is their first time doing it, and
And then we come out of our discretion, the council's discretionary fund. So council would be sponsoring this.
yeah, Mr. McNair, just a quick question, I'm just gonna move this. Maybe we could have them keep like a record of how many numbers and stuff that they receive as well, just so that we can see if this ends up being something that was super successful, then next year, we can kind of base it off, right? So, do we need me to put a motion on the floor to staff to talk to them about that, or? Okay, so I'm gonna put a motion on the floor that staff reach out to the Dawson Creek Art Gallery and just ask them to record their numbers of attendance that they receive for this pilot program over the summer months. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston beat you to it, thank you very much. Discussion on that? All those in favor? Thank you.
Is this gonna be held at our community?
So this is gonna be held in our community center, yeah.
In the library.
Oh, no, in the library, right,
It's in the
thank you.
library,
Oh,
not
okay.
in the community center.
Not
So my
there.
concern is if it's in the community center,
No,
that's
it's
not.
not.
In the library, is that?
Clarify that with
Yes.
the mayor.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea. It's, the community asked us, like, when we went through everything, the community's asked us, you know, for
More
more
engagement.
more stuff within the community.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well then, I put the motion on the floor that we, accept and fund the Cooskoopi Art Gallery pilot program for $780. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, thank you. Discussion? All those in favor? All right, and carried. Perfect. All right, Councillor Whittle, do you mind running out there and grabbing those gentlemen and bring them back in?
Alright. We're done. Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Okay, moving on. 8.3 recommendation.
Everyone that council received the report about UDCM meetings for information and or discussion.
Can I get a seconder?
Did we do this or?
Yeah, that's right.
Did I miss one?
Yeah, 8.2.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Back in. Taking that back.
Okay, now
8.2 recommendation, if you could read that.
Recommend the council receives the policy 9.1, council code of conduct for information and or discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Whittle, thank you very much. Okay, all right, let me open that up on my laptop. Okay. So, any discussion on this? Councillor Rabble?
Because we had talked about revisions previously, right? Kind of what's required and, okay. So this is this being brought back with changes?
Not that I know of, no, this was brought back, just because I think Councillor Paul had an opportunity to digest it at that point in time. And so we just had a bunch of different things going on, so we decided to put it on a smaller agenda, so it's on this one instead.
So something I've noticed,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Something I've noticed in here is if there is a breach, at what point would that breach go to an independent person to look at it?
So my understanding, hang on, let me just get there too. My understanding, when I spoke with Ms. Stokes about this, it really, the first one is like a conversation, right? And so which section are you looking at? Make sure we're, oh no, I'm talking about the remuneration, you're talking about the council code of conduct, right?
Yes.
Which section?
No section specifically, I just don't know where exactly in this policy, I haven't been able to see where an investigation would be. It mentions an investigator multiple times, but it doesn't really explain where, how an investigator would be chosen.
Okay.
Under 37, referral to third-party investigators.
Okay, yeah. CAO or solicitor determines after conducting a preliminary assessment that the complaint should be accepted for investigation, they shall refer the complaint to a neutral, independent third party. So it would be an overall assessment of the complaint.
Or they're choosing to conduct an investigation.
Yeah, or they would choose to conduct their own in-house. Probably depends on like the severity of.
I think if we're putting money, if there's gonna be money involved, I think it would be best to not have the investigation developed internally. Because there could always be conflicts in there.
Well, and so you have to realize whenever you bring in a third party, that's automatically money up front, right? So if it's something that's not, but that's something that's small, whether it be like a small social media complaint, that shouldn't be something where it's like we have to bring in a lawyer and then pay for the third party. But if it's something much larger, I think so. But I think if we bring in a third party for every single thing, I think the cost can start racking up. Councillor Whittle?
So the other thing is everywhere it says solicitor in here, that's our lawyer that costs us legal fees every time,
Every time, yeah.
right? So.
Councillor Rabble?
And because, well, code of conduct is a requirement now, either explaining when not to have it or to have it. And we already have one, and this is kind of just broadening its scope, that there are actual consequences. Now we've got proposing having teeth, right? Is this in line with other comparable municipalities, jurisdictions?
This is something that multiple municipalities are now adopting. Councillor Rabble?
And I understand that previously there were questions about council member, but I see in 67 it refers to mayor and council, that us as the entire body and
Yeah.
a member of this body this is applicable to us.
Yeah. Councillor Rabble?
And as the motion is information and for discussion, simply just looking at it, and then it will be brought forward in the future.
No, if council is ready to move forward, I will put the motion on the floor. So, I put the vote, unless you have a question about that prior to?
Yeah, so just looking through this and with the depth that it is, I'd say tonight we receive it for information, gives us a chance to kind of look at it, digest it, and then look at bringing it back.
This is the second time I'm receiving it.
But it's one of those things, this is something that
Yeah.
takes some, I think, and just my opinion, that it should take some more sober second thought going through this and get a chance to read through it because, as, responsible adults, this shouldn't be an issue, but it's one of those things that I haven't myself, I know I haven't had enough time to go through this yet. I've been so busy that I haven't had a chance to look through it. And my concern is everywhere that it says solicitor, if we're bringing in the lawyer every single time we're looking at something, right, where just about every time legal bills are going to go through the roof. And I'm not saying it's not a bad thing, I haven't had enough time to go through this, and I would almost like to see if we could get a comparable from another municipality, just apples to apples. Okay.
Yeah. And it says CAO or, so it doesn't say and. So the language is or, so there's that option for the support person if there's a need to bring something from outside in. So it's not the CAO and. Councillor Wall?
So something else in here that I've noticed is there isn't really a threshold, like any minor breach could result in a penalty. It's quite just like, I would want there to be, if we're doing this, I would personally like there to be a threshold to meet to warrant financial punishment.
Well, so it's in breach of the policy, right? So then in the beginning part, it does sort of lay out what the breach is.
Well, yeah, the policy is the code of conduct, which includes the dress code and things like that. But the code of conduct and this actually takes into be in effect not only while we're in the chambers, but outside of that as well.
Yes. So
that code, that dress code, and that everything, and that.
I don't think it goes quite to that extreme. If we go under general conduct, that's the main part of the policy it's referring to. So just council members and committee members, meaning like mayor, shall not engage with others, including the public, village staff, and other council members in a manner that is abusive, bullying, intimidating, or derogatory. They shall not use their office to attempt to gain personal benefits for themselves. They must respect the process. Talks about not being abusive towards staff, not being abusive towards other members, and then holding confidentiality, conflicts of interest, addressing those and stating those, not receiving any gifts in the form of like bribes, and then use of our public resources here in the office and then, just reminding members of the board, so mayor and council, that we are advocating for the community. So it doesn't really like point out little things like dress code. It's really mainly about like abusive language, derogatory terms, racism, that type of stuff. Things that, you know, we already shouldn't be doing to staff or each other as members of a board. And so it doesn't really state things such as dress code. Yes, Councillor Wall.
It refers to the code of conduct, which includes that, and now I'm just putting this out there. We get along good enough that I don't feel this will be an issue in the near future. However, if this is in effect 10 years from now, and there's other people in these chairs, and we end up in a nasty situation, I want this to be as airtight as possible. I don't want there to be room to nitpick or find a loophole in it. I want it to be as airtight as we can make it.
And it's my understanding that, you know, the staff has been working on this for quite a while. They've worked on this by using like Dawson Creeks and other municipalities, as well as having our lawyers sort of go through it and double check it as well. So this is about as airtight as we're gonna get it. I'm just letting you know, the lawyer has gone through it. Councillor Whittle?
And this is just policy, right?
Yeah.
It would just be a policy, it's not a bylaw.
That's right. No, yeah, this is just. Councillor Rattle?
So with it being a policy, that means it's, once we vote on it, it's done, it's implemented, right? We don't have that timeline of a bylaw. So my concerns are always with something like this, because elected officials, members of this body, the process of democracy, the need to be able to interrogate ideas, and having the privilege of the chamber to be able to openly discuss ideas. I do understand the necessity for such an item that we were looking at, but it could be potentially subject to abuse. So because of that, it needs to have a very defined process. And the other piece, I don't know if this is utilized in similar ways in other fashions in other jurisdictions, but to have the CAO as the conduit through which these complaints are channeled as an employee, then going, you know, upwards, that could potentially pose a conflict if a member of this body were to be looking into, you know, inquiring into things that are happening within the municipality, that potentially it could come back up to that person.
Well, and then that's why it does offer the option of or a solicitor or the third party. And so that's where it sort of creates that separation. I think my only concern, I'm just going to voice it, is this is the second time this has been put in front of us. This is the second time we've had to read through it, and the second time we've had to digest it. And the longer we keep sitting on it and keep adding it to our agendas and pushing it forward, the longer we're not doing anything with it. So that's my only, like, you know, council is more than willing to sit on it again. I'm just saying this is our second time viewing it, and the second time it's come in front of us. So I was hoping that this time everybody would have read it. Yes,
May I make a change? May I propose a change to this? That it does not go to the CAO, it goes to the solicitor or an investigator. Because this isn't we're not gonna have code of conduct complaints coming up very often, I hope. So.
Yeah, it is normal practice that it goes to the CAO or a solicitor and then a third party. That is that's very general. Am I correct in that?
I believe you have to go through the
Yeah,
CAO.
it would have to go.
directly to the solicitor.
Yeah. So that is very, that's very standard. The CAO position is the highest position within the village, right?
There seems like an inherent conflict, though.
Well, and then that's where a solicitor or third party would come in, so that there is no.
But there's no situation that it wouldn't be a conflict.
But then that's when it brings up the whole conflict of interest bit, right? So that would be. Yes, Councillor Whittle.
So complaints procedure, section 32 states that complaint must be in writing and must be submitted within 60 days of the alleged breach, or within 60 days of the confidential request made in relation to the alleged breach. But then it goes on to say at section 34 of the complaints that complaints submitted more than 90 days after the fact, right? So that's even 30 days past where 32 says that it's supposed to be submitted.
So a complaint submitted more than 90 days after are then rejected, and then here it's saying must be within 60 days. And so are you looking to have the writing changed so it states 60 in both, 33,
Yeah,
32,
some-
34?
Yeah, because it says 60 in one, and then more than 90 will.
After 90, it's rejected.
So I could do it at day 70. But it says it has to be submitted within 60 days, but this one says after 90 days it can be rejected, so that still leaves a 30-day window of gray area there. If I'm understanding this
Saying
correctly.
it must be rejected after 90 days.
So why wouldn't,
Are you looking to have it so that it states it must be rejected after 60 days? Is that my understanding?
To me, it would make a little more sense, like, and like I said, admittedly, I haven't had the time yet due to my work schedule, I haven't had the time to read through it fully, but just a quick glance at it, that's one thing that I'm catching on really fast.
Okay.
Just wanted to get clarification on.
Councillor Wall?
I'll make a motion to change the complaint must be submitted within 60 days or it will be rejected.
Okay,
Just to be in line with, to make 32 and 34 in line with each other. So you have 60 days to make your complaint, it may or may not, well, it's gonna have the process there. After 60 days, no bueno.
okay. Can I get a seconder on Councillor Wall's motion? Councillor Whittle, thank you. Discussion? Okay. All those in favor of making that change? Okay. All right, and those.
I would,
Not? So the in favor would have been Councillor Johnston, Councillor Whittle, and Councillor Wall. And then opposed would be myself and,
well, I would say opposed, but, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
to the discussion of the whole nature of this thing, as a body that, in a sense, regulates itself, it's quite difficult because we have, the ministry above us and then the staff that are in partnership with us that we are, to have that hourglass figure of our employment structure here. This is something that cannot be taken lightly. This is something that must be considered with forethought and consideration, that we make sure that we are safeguarding our democracy, but we're also safeguarding the ability of councillors and mayors to express themselves. And I understand that there's, parts of this that if they're frivolous, that they can be dismissed. But I think this requires more thought than simply enacting it into policy so abruptly. And I do understand the need for it. I do understand the timeline to it. So therefore my question would be, what is the requirement by the province? Because I believe it was something like within the first 6 months of a new council. But we already do have a code of conduct, like where I believe we're in compliance with the province on that we do have a code of conduct. So not impossible issue with that, right?
I don't think so.
I believe we have to adopt this in order to adopt the regulation.
Yeah, we can't do one without the other. Yeah, that was my understanding.
Information right now anyway,
Yeah. Okay, so if anybody would like, we can either throw the motion on the floor to adopt, or we can put the motion on the floor to table and bring it back on the 17th is the next one, if I'm correct? Yeah. Okay, Councillor Whittle?
So I'm gonna make the motion that we table this to the next meeting, the 17th. At least one final time, and my apologies because I've been out of the room for a little bit. But as this sits right now, without having a chance to go through it more thoroughly, and this week's been crazy, my apologies, that's on me, I didn't get to it. But I like it in principle, I like the idea, but until I get a chance to go through this a little more thoroughly, I would like to table this until our next meeting.
Okay, can I get a seconder?
Oh.
Can I get a seconder on the motion that's on the floor? Councillor Johnston seconds, thank you very much. Discussion regarding this motion? Councillor Ravel?
I think some more thought, some more picking at it as much as I understand that might cause, upset. The remedies though, limitations to village facilities, like this is not simply just remuneration. This is, requesting apology letters, requesting certain things to be performed, recommendations for training, but the thing, limitation to village facilities, like this could seriously hamper elected officials' ability to properly perform their duties.
Well, it's not an elected official's job to be doing the job of a staff member, so you have to be careful about that, right? Because it's not your job to go into the water treatment facility and start, right?
Well,
And
I'm saying athletic facilities and parks, like if, let's say that the remedy was you must apologize and you are prohibited from entering village facilities. You can't go in a park, you can't go in the gym. Like it's kind of arbitrary. The scope of this is extremely broad.
Okay. Councillor Wall?
The part of me thinks we should almost have a special council meeting to go through this, kind of line by line, because of the possible implications it has there. And I don't know if this would be better off as a bylaw as opposed to a policy.
It needs to be a policy.
Because it includes finance, like it imposes
So
fines. Can we have a
so-
policy impose fines?
So the remuneration is a bylaw, but this is a policy. So the one is a policy, and then when it comes to the actual, remuneration fines and stuff, that's a bylaw thing. Councillor Whittle?
The other advantage of doing this as a policy is that it's easier to bring back if we want to make changes or additions to it later on down the road, or council wants to change it. Where if it's a bylaw, there's a lot more staff time involved, and it's going to come back in multiple meetings and everything else. So I do agree that it's better off as a policy. Like I said, I just want to table it for a bit, give everybody a chance to kind of, because you guys have some ideas, just get our feedback on it.
Okay.
One more.
Oh, yep, Councillor Wall?
My last idea is I think staff should mean anyone who's employed by the village,
Including contractors.
including contractors.
Okay, so then
Specifically for elected
elected officials, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
in this bylaw. Right there.
and members, which is from on board.
Councillor Whittle?
So just to come back to Councillor Wall's point with staff, because it does talk about how us as elected officials interact with staff and our interactions with staff. I would like to see that carried over to staff and contractors, because quite often we hire. Yeah, but Mr. McPhail, for instance, right, was a contractor that we dealt with on a regular basis, right? It's one of those things like you bring a paving contractor in and, say Councillor Johnson's upset because it woke him up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning, he goes out and yells at the guy, right? So let's just, if we're gonna do our due diligence, let it just be a suggestion that we look into including contractors as well, because they're technically, for all intents and purposes, as they're under contract with us, they are staff.
Okay, all right, so I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor of tabling this until the next meeting on June 17th? Okay, so all those in favor is 4, and I'm opposed. Okay, all righty, moving on. So when we get down to the remuneration, we'll have to table that as well. I don't think.
Well, you should still discuss.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds good. Okay, 8.3 recommendation.
That council receives the report of UECN meetings for information and or discussion.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, thank you very much. All right, and discussion. So I was thinking about meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and I thought, so normally the process is that you would bring it to the NCLGA, it would get onto their agenda there, and then it would go to UBCM. But I was talking with Ms. Stokes just to find out, if we were to bring something forward right now, because we didn't bring anything forward to the NCLGA. One thing I was thinking is, I was interested in maybe talking to the Minister of Municipal Affairs regarding the conduct of elected officials. Due to multiple municipalities currently within the BC are being either sued due to their, elected officials, or the elected officials are being sued by members of the public in their stance. And right now, the province doesn't really have anything there to support municipalities from these things going on. So all that money for lawyers is being paid out of taxpayers' pockets. And it is something that's actually becoming a more widespread thing. And so I was interested, the council was interested in bringing that forward to sort of talk about if the province is planning on creating a bit of a safety blanket so that, you know, these constant lawsuits and disputes that are going on aren't continuously being put onto the taxpayer, especially in smaller communities. Councillor Rabble.
I would say it's prime real estate to take the opportunity to speak with the Premier and the Minister of Municipal Affairs, and I understand we've got a deadline by June 30th, so I would definitely express my support for saying, well, why not meet with them, for goodness sakes. And then also the topics of discussion, it appears that we kind of need to give the general guideline of what we're going to discuss. I would lean towards, you know, rural and northern communities, funding for large infrastructure projects, supports, grants. I would lean towards those expensive big ticket items that we could lean on the province to assist with us in our development. But I would say, why not take an opportunity? Even if you end up meeting with the deputy minister, you're still having time here with the person.
Yeah.
And the question then would be, are we meeting individually or as a
No, we meet as one whole board.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we have a unified face, unified front, be able to approach them. So I'm saying, why not approach them?
Okay. Okay, so are we cool with the question I'm bringing? Because we like have to present a question. We have to give them sort of information on what we're not allowed to just sort of go in and be like, hey, how's it going? You actually have to have something that you're kind of bringing forward. So that was my idea. I know it was something I talked with multiple different municipalities during the NCLGA. They were sort of seeking me out. I wonder why. And so it was a topic that was brought up a lot. There are quite a few elected officials that are either being sued by members of the public because of their stance as an elected official, or they're suing the municipality. I'm still wrong.
Something I would like to bring up if we have this opportunity is carbon tax on home heating and transportation. We don't have transportation options. We don't really have a choice but to heat our homes with natural gas in our area. And that's affecting our residents pretty bad, especially when we're talking about doubling it later this year. I think it's something that would be worthwhile to bring that voice forward to the Premier and the Minister if we have that opportunity.
So I think at this point, sorry, Councillor Rebel, at this point, so we'll receive it as information, if I'm correct, and then we can pose our questions in a collective email to Sandy or to Ms. Stokes, then she'd bring those back. Am I under that correct? Yes. Yeah. So then she would bring those questions back, and then we would vote on the questions that we're going to ask collectively. Councillor Rebel.
Yeah, there's definitely topics that we could discuss. So we have to submit this at least on or before June 30th.
Yes.
I'm curious, I don't want to put more work on anyone, but what topics would the members of the public like us as their elected officials to bring to the Premier and the Minister of Municipal Affairs?
Well, we were really lucky because we just finished going through our OCP, right? And so thinking about a lot of those things. But remember, a lot of those are very community-minded things. So this is more of a provincial thing, right? So this is where you bring big provincial items forward. Councillor Whittle.
So the other one to put on there that I've heard some concerns about, actually from the public, like recently, is the crime rates again and policing levels. Right?
Yeah. So, okay, so we're gonna receive this, and then I'm just gonna, I'll create a big collective email that we're all part of, and then we'll start firing off our questions. I love how you just start laughing at it, so funny. We'll start firing off our questions, and then Sandy will bring those, and we'll vote on what questions we're gonna be bringing forward. Yes, Councillor.
And I would chuck it out there, and I would say large-scale infrastructure planning, like future highway projects through our municipality.
There you go.
Yeah.
Add that to the big email that I'm gonna draft. Whatever my draft. Draft. Okay, perfect. Hang on, let me write this down. you very much. Okay, alrighty, moving on to, 9, correspond,
No,
oh, 8.4, I almost skipped right over it, yes. Oh, yes. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, sorry about that. Okay, I'm gonna, green, thank you. I have no idea what you're at. You know that? After all this time, I have no idea why. Okay, moving on to 8.4, our late item. Someone wants to read that?
I don't know what to read, but I'll just say
Just
that
read the
council receives
purpose.
to provide council with the designs that were submitted for the bulletin board legacy art project.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Johnston, he's just like got the hand going today, it's like a machine. Okay, for discussion, so Councillor Wall.
I'm really fond of the two bulls facing each other on page number 4.
I like the first one.
I like the first one, that's
Okay.
very cute.
I like that one too.
So flip it to your page, they're so beautifully done.
I like this one.
So this is my favorite.
There are a lot of good ones though, I must
There were
admit.
so
I
many
like
good
those too.
Well,
Either one of those
my
two.
only concern with number 2 is it's a bit
Here,
busy.
for now.
Remember, we are gonna have a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
stuff.
Councillor Johnson.
I would say kind of this and this, these are very nice.
You gotta pick one.
The first three are very nice.
Okay.
I like it.
I like number 2, but it's very busy. That was my only concern. You cannot do that, you gotta pick one.
Look in between, just.
Okay, so it looks like number 1 is the winner. So this is the winner. Sorry, Councilor Wall. I did like the bowls, they did a beautiful job on them, but I wanted, something more poofy for me personally, that's what I was thinking. So number 1, yes, Councilor Whittle. You do this again. I know. You guys, who put YouTube side
No,
by
I
side?
just want to, take this opportunity to thank all the students that submitted artwork. It's all really good, and I look forward to future legacy projects within the community to showcase some of the talent of our students.
They did a wonderful job. Like, I'm so excited to see it when it's all done. It's gonna look beautiful. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor of going with number 1? Unanimous and carried. Perfect. Okay. Done speed. All right, now we're moving on to number 9 for correspondence. So, I'm gonna read number 9.1 because that was the one I wanted to look at. So, the council received the report from the Dawson Creek RCMP for information. Can I get a seconder? Councilor Whittle, thank you. Moving into discussion. Staff, have you guys heard from the new detachment commander? Has he reached out? Nothing yet, hey? So we still have Miss Moffett.
No.
No?
So
Councilor Whittle?
the new detachment commander is here and is assuming his roles. I was hoping to have the opportunity to meet with him yesterday because I was in the RCMP detachment dealing with some other stuff, but he was busy in a meeting, so I didn't get the opportunity to meet him. But hopefully here within the next couple of weeks, I'll get that opportunity to touch base and invite him.
Yes, I was just about to say yes. Please invite him to come out and meet us and say hello and do all the handshaking things. Councilor Walt?
So, I see crime is on the rise again, and sometimes quite significantly. With the new detachment commander, I know that they reached out to a couple of councillors in Dawson who had the opportunity to do a ride-along, or going to have, I don't know if they had done it or going to do it, but they're going to have little ride-alongs per day. I think it would be good to know, and good to meet this new commander and maybe do something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Get to see what they do in a day and how often they're actually in Coos and what problems they see here.
Yeah.
And further to that, I understand that there's a liability waiver and there's a level of anonymity, like you can't be involved and you can't really discuss the process, but it would be an invaluable opportunity to see how they conduct their work.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't even think about that. Well, hopefully, Councilor Whittle, if you could get him to come out and we get the opportunity to meet him, we can maybe bring that up.
Yeah, the former detachment commander had mentioned to me last year, actually, that when I had the RCMP portfolio that elected officials can come out and do ride-alongs. But it's one of those, they gotta look at their staffing levels and what's going on, and right now, the detachment is a little on the short side.
Okay. Do I gotta do all those in favor of receiving this for information?
I always forget these.
Yeah, all those in favor of receiving this for information? Unanimous and carried, thank you. Sorry, my brain is still on that. Anything under correspondence anybody else wanted to talk about? Oh, I wanna talk about 9.3, does anybody wanna talk about 9.2? Okay.
Well, I guess I would say that council receives the report from the animal control / bylaw officer's information.
Can I get a seconder? Okay, Councillor Wall, thank you. Discussion? Councillor Rebel?
It looks rather busy, like it's, there seems to be a lot of situations that this person has been attending to. But it seems, like a lot, like calls and then returning calls and hard to get a hold of property owners, but at least the person's pursuing them, but no tickets issued.
Okay. Councillor Wall?
Yeah, so there's a lot of the same stuff here. It looks like the same street with the same dog. Like, I know, for example, where a couple of these would be. And they're ongoing consistent issues. May 20th, same street, dog barking through the night. May 18th, 15th, dog at large on the same street, May 11th. Do we know why tickets aren't being issued if there are repeat offenders multiple times the same week with the same issues?
That's at the discretion of the bylaw officer, is my understanding.
But clearly certain individuals are consistently breaking the same bylaws, and in the last report we got, we had the same issue show up twice on their report, and on the report before that, same issue, same street.
A lot of 52nd Street.
A lot of 52nd Street. Yeah, it's the same people doing the same things over and over and over again. It's the same bylaw infraction, same people doing it.
I think
No fines.
at this point, my advice to council would be to request a meeting with the bylaw officer, if somebody would like to request that. I think we're at that point, so Councillor Wall?
I would like, we do have a policy in place where if there's 3 instances of a complaint, that a ticket must be issued. I'm not seeing those tickets being issued.
Ms. Green?
So also a factor could be, is it the same property complaining, or is it different properties in the same area complaining?
Does it?
So that's just one thing.
Councillor Wall?
Does it need to be the same person complaining 3 times about the same property, or does it need to be 3 complaints about one property?
So to some,
Ms. Green?
so with some complaints, it would be noise. Not saying for this instance, but sometimes it can be if you're just picking on your neighbor, or is it concern through a couple neighbors? Is it like, has someone complaining, 2 different separate complaints been for the same issue, or is it just this one person?
We have had that in the past. We have had issues where neighbors have used the bylaw as a way to dispute. Just a heads up. Councillor Wall.
At the OCP planning, one of the things I heard people talk about quite a bit was that they no longer phone bylaw because nothing gets done anyways. So that came up 4 times. I took note of that, and recently I've been building a fence myself, and I've had a couple of neighbors come up to me and say like, hey, you know what's going on with this place? And right next door to us, the grass was taller than the 5-foot fence, and nothing had been done, and the neighbor on the other side of myself just got so fed up we did it ourselves. It took 3 hours. Like that shouldn't be happening. I know complaints are being made. I know like when things get bad, if people start taking things into their own hands, we need to be issuing tickets here.
Ms. McNair, with bylaw being a contractor, council could request a meeting in that. I believe so, yes. As I said, my advice still stands. This is a conversation that's come up multiple times. We can keep talking about it in council meetings, or you can meet with the bylaw officer at this point. That would be my recommendation. So that's on you guys. Councillor Rattle.
So I have had concerns expressed to me directly in casual conversations with members of our village, concerned about patrols, saying, you know, why aren't there more patrols? Why aren't there more bylaws? And I understand hours within the contract and those kind of things, and I do refer the person and people to contact the village office. But it is an ongoing thing where people go, my goodness, this dog keeps barking again and again and again. And I call and nothing gets done. And I call and nothing gets done. And the neighbors across the alley say I've called and nothing gets done. So we must understand that if people are to lose faith in the enforcement of our bylaws, that's absolutely devastating to people feeling comfortable moving to our village, where the perception of our village could go from, is this a safe place to grow your family and live your life and live out your years, to, oh my goodness, I'm bothered all the time, I'm moving somewhere else, I'm just so fed up and frustrated. I don't want it to become that, but I have been hearing that sentiment. And so I am deeply concerned, and therefore, motion on the fly, my motion would be that council ask if the bylaw officer would be willing to have a meeting with us. I don't know exactly what that
You'd like to request a meeting.
Request a meeting.
With the,
Yes.
with the bylaw officer. Can I get a seconder on that motion? Councillor Johnston, thank you very much. Discussion on the motion on the floor? Councillor Woodall?
So yeah, I agree. I think it would be a good thing to sit down and maybe get some clarity, because there could be, obviously, you know, we just see a report, so there's probably more to it than what we actually see. And for those of you, I believe it was a tail end of last year, Mayor Beach, that council requested that bylaw enforcement goes from 15-hour patrols to 20-hour patrols. So we did add an additional 5 hours onto patrol time. I think it was last fall, if I remember correctly. So this is the first year with the 20, but yeah, I do agree with something that might be, because like with some of these incidents, like we just see the street numbers come up, so there might be some more clarity to that would be nice to have some questions answered.
Alrighty. All those in favor of requesting a meeting with bylaw officer? Unanimous and carried. Thank you very much. Okay. I wanted to talk on. Oh, yes, Councillor Ronald.
Before we move on to the next one, I guess it'd be more of a question for staff. Would that be a closed meeting or an open meeting? Where do we have to look into the community?
We're gonna have to
charter?
look into it, yes.
Because it's contract, sort of legal land, it sort of falls in that.
You're saying it'll be closed, but I can't confirm that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll check it out and give it back to us, and I didn't want to.
So I don't want them to think by no means that we're like trying to railroad the bylaw officer, or we're trying to, you know, anything like that, just in clarification.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we still in the motion of the report? Because I made a motion inside of that motion. Are we still in the motion of the report? Like to
Of
receive
receiving it as,
information?
oh wait, all those in favor of receiving it as information, thank you. Unanimous and
Okay.
carried. I was like, what?
Keep it neat.
Yeah, right, thank you. Okay, anybody else see anything under correspondence they'd like to talk on?
You were wanting to talk.
I know, and then I realized I didn't want to talk on that, I had my question answered before. Okay, so I'm gonna move on to number 10, resolutions, there are none. Item number 11, 11.1 recommendation.
Recommend that council receive bylaw 1049, Village of Pouce weekly solid waste management for information.
Can I get a seconder? Councillor Wall, thank you. Okay. Councillor Wall?
So we just passed this bylaw, didn't we? I couldn't find.
So, yes. At this point in time, the reason, it was the numbers, right? Oh yeah, it's like in the fancy report. Hang on, it does say. Miss Green went through and wrote this whole beautiful thing that I keep ignoring. I'm so sorry. Okay, if you look into the background, the solid waste management bylaw number 1044 of 2023 was adopted and passed on April 19th. After the adoption, it was brought to the staff's attention that the wrong draft bylaw was presented to council with a few errors. Staff has resolved the errors and are now presenting the new revised solid waste management bylaw to council. What it was is it was the numbering. They had accidentally skipped a number, and by skipping a number, the number sequence on the side was out. And once you do that, you gotta give it a whole brand new bylaw number. So it was like literally they were out by one number and then they had to go back and, so that's what it was. I just finished speaking with Ms. Stokes about this. Everything else is the same. All they had to change was the number sequence of bylaw because I think it was 2.2 or something that got skipped or, yeah, it jumped from 2.1 to 2.3 and so we'd accepted it.
And some wording.
Yeah, so it was just little things. Everything else is exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Councillor Rapp.
So do we have to repeal the old bylaw, or does this new bylaw state that we are repealing the old bylaw? Because it's technically the old bylaw with the misnumbered is in effect.
Yes, so we need, but I don't think we need to repeal it this evening. Right, Ms. Green? We're just gonna receive it for information and then it's gonna be brought back.
Yes, because when you adopt the bylaw, it is stated that they're routine.
Yeah, so, Councillor Wall.
I just want to note that in this version, the T in the village, or the corporation of the village of Kooskoobee is missing at the very top of each page. That was the, like, I couldn't see very much.
Poor Ms. Green is just gonna throw this thing into the middle of the road.
Before we approve this one.
Well, we're not approving this, we're only accepting it for information. They are going to be bringing us a whole new one that's all fancy and beautiful and doesn't have anything going on. So, all those in favor of receiving this for information? Unanimous and carried. This bylaw has been just killing these poor ladies. They're so over it, I'm telling you. Okay, all right, so 11.2 recommendation.
Recommend that council receive bylaw 1048, council regulations and expenses amended, draft for information and discussion.
I get a seconder? Councillor Woodall, thank you very much. Discussion. Councillor Rabbit.
So I understand in employment law that you can't punish an employee with a deduction of pay. So is this how is a council member considered? Is it an employee of the village of Kooskoobee? And then therefore, if the member is not considered an employee of the municipality, then are other jurisdictions doing the same thing? Is this something that somebody else has done somewhere? Like
Yeah.
we're not just breaking the ice on this?
No, this is something that's been slowly being adopted throughout the province, and other municipalities have been adopting this, more within the past year than the year before, but it is something that was brought to our attention during, it was during one of the conferences last year. Was it the NCLD in Fort St. John? I remember it coming up and it was like a new thing that many municipalities were adopting, and that's sort of how this whole thing started. But this was when me and Councillor Woodall were still councillors, and that's when we started looking into it. So this is already being done in other municipalities. Councillor Wall.
My concern with this is 7A, where a member of council is found to have breached the policy for the first time. Reduction of 10%. Fine with the reduction taking place is serious. However, if it's something very minor, I think this might stifle people's speech a bit.
Well, so this backs up the council code of conduct. So one is the council code of conduct policy, and then this is the bylaw that sort of backs it up. Are you looking into different wording or what's, yeah?
So the concern I have is, even if it's a very minor accidental breach, regardless of what it is, you're getting a 10% penalty. Even if it's accidental and minor, because it says where the member of council has been found to breach the policy. It's not purposely breaching it, it's not a serious breach.
What's that, sorry?
Isn't that
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that would like literally have to go down through multiple
So I
channels.
might not do it for everything, but.
Yeah.
Can we add that and say where the council has been found to breach the policy for the first time, and the investigator has decided.
Yeah,
That's great, that the investigator has to decide the breach. It's happened before this even comes into effect.
yeah. Considering council from the date in which council considers the investigator's report. So I think, my understanding that's where that's mentioning back to that. Councillor Rabble?
Where did these numbers come from? They seem rather arbitrary. 10%, 15%, 25%. Is that a standard?
Yes.
What is the source of that? What
Well,
is-
so it's my understanding that, yeah, this is what other municipalities are using. We're not remaking the wheel, like we're very much following what other municipalities are doing. Councillor Wall?
I've been trying to find municipalities that have a similar bylaw, and I couldn't find any, so do you know any that have, so I can look at their policies?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I know Miss Stokes probably does. Do you guys know off the top of your head?
I know that Dawson has just recently passed theirs,
Yeah.
like within the last couple months.
Mm-hmm. Councillor Rebel?
What is the direction we're receiving from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs on this? Are they setting guidelines for this? Or is it simply just one kind of did it and everyone's kind of following suit?
So this is where I was mentioning about myself and Councillor Woodall. When we were at the NCLGA in Fort St. John last year, this was a conversation that came up. And you speak.
Was this not at last year or the year before UBCM? Was it?
Maybe it was from the UBCM. It was one of the big ones, and it was mentioned, it was literally brought up by the province.
Were
Yes.
counselors.
Yeah, this came up for us at NCLGA because we didn't have anybody go to UCBM last year.
Yes.
It might have even been the year
So-
before that, it was introduced, and then it is been talked about every year.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. So this is something that's being recommended by the province.
Through that association structure.
Yeah, because we were not the ones who came up with this. This was very much mentioned. I know, that's why it must be UBCM that I'm
I'm sure
thinking
you
of.
can go back in there on the UBCM site and
Okay.
find where.
Find it, and it would have been in 2022, I think. But yeah, this was a recommendation from the province. That's sort of how it stopped, and that's why slowly municipalities have been adopting it over the past year more than they were last year, because last year it was sort of like a new idea, and this year they've been looking into it and adopting it more frequently. Councillor Wall.
There's also your
Where?
section 8, it goes A, B, C, B. And I think that should be a new paragraph or something, because I don't think that should be in the same column.
Okay, A, B, C, B.
ABCD.
ABCD, yeah. Okay, well, at this point in time, because we've received the other one as information, we're just gonna be receiving this. And so, when I draft that email out to council asking you all to dissect and go through the code of conduct, I'm gonna be talking about this thing as well. Please dissect it and go through it, and then we'll create an email chain, and then by the 17th, hopefully everybody will feel like you can read this thing with your eyeballs closed. Perfect? Yes, perfect. All those in favor of receiving this for information? No? Yes? No?
I vote opposed.
As receiving it for information?
Yes.
Okay, so I have 3, and all those in favor of receiving this for information? Thank you. Would you like your opposed noted?
I want it noted, and I'd like to just state that I believe that the numbers are rather arbitrary, and I believe that this could stifle the ability of us to interrogate the matters of the municipality.
Alright. So, moving on to administrative reports. The CAO report, she's not here, so it was very much read it. I did have a question actually on the CAO report that you might be able to answer, Ms. McNair, so don't look so afraid. The museum and the tourism, did they used to have somebody on the tourism? Okay, and then now my question reflects back over to Councillor Wall. How's that going? Have you heard from anybody?
At the museum?
No, for your tourism thing. You're the tourism person.
So I've recently met with people at Tourism Dawson Creek, but I'm just trying to, it's hard to get anything done with tourism, to be honest.
I know, I'm wondering if maybe because, if you look at Ms. Stokes' report, she is stating that, like, you know, they are missing a lot of grants, they're missing a lot of opportunities that could be available to them if they had somebody that was actually part of the tourism, where is it?
An issue is.
With the Northern BC tourism, so basically, like, she attended it and they're missing a lot of grants and stuff, and I saw that she was able to attend it, but I haven't heard anything from you, so I was wondering if you're maybe having issue getting in contact with them.
I wasn't aware of anything that I was supposed to attend, to be honest.
I know, that's why I'm wondering if there's a contact issue. So maybe reach out to Miss Stokes.
I had that one for a short little while, and they do like a monthly or bi-monthly Zoom
Zoom
call.
meeting.
Okay.
So maybe make a note to reach out to Miss Stokes in regards to getting them in contact with you, or getting one of those, and then kind of find out. And then when you go to your next museum meeting, maybe you could just talk about how amazing Northern BC tourism is, and that there could be all this access to grants. And hopefully somebody on the museum board.
May I comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, a lot of the grants through Tourism BC and Destination, it's now Destination BC, there's a big thing going on there. We don't actually have a tourist center. We don't have a tourist information center. The museum isn't like a.
I think it's supposed to be.
We would need to make it
I think there's a sign for that.
I thought they were designated as one.
It was designated as one, that's why they have the tourism sign outside the building.
You
Yeah,
get
I
that,
believe it was.
that yellow eye or whatever, like, and then it gets on the highway and stuff.
There has been a miscommunication somewhere, because I have been told it's not.
Yeah, I
So.
I've been told it is.
I'm
So
sure
we
it
should
was.
you should do a lot of research into that, and then let us know.
Okay, I'm gonna look into that.
Okay, perfect, Councillor Rabble.
Well, if I may comment further to that, it's this yellow eye, and then
It's the
a
blue in the-
sign, and
Yeah,
it's a highway sign, and then it goes out front. The other advantage to that is it gets published in maps. And for example, when I was in Fort Nelson, I looked for Poos Koopy on the little map with the little eye, and it didn't have it. Dawson had it. Some other areas around, Tumblr had it, Chetwynd had it. So because being a part of that organization or association or whatnot would automatically get us published in a variety of maps. They would do the legwork for us of advertising that we have a visitor center.
you know, the reason why I think that the museum is because there's that nice big map that's right outside the building on the wooden, that's from Tourism BC.
They might have been, but maybe it doesn't.
I'm sure they were at one point.
They may have possibly lost it since the last curator, who
Oh.
was very much involved in
He's very much involved in that, okay. Let us know what you find out. We're really excited to hear it, sounds great. No pressure. Okay, that was the
I hope we
only,
have that back for you next meeting.
oh, sorry, Councillor Rebel.
Just 3 things from the CAO report.
Oh, yes.
Happy tax season, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy municipal tax season. Canada Day float with the museum. What does that look like? Are they doing it on the day of July 1st or prior to?
No, so normally, I know when we did it last year with previous Mayor McKetty, we did it for like the 2 or 3 days before we were there. I was there for the 2 days before.
I just stopped by.
Yeah, he just stopped by quick. So, yeah, me and her, we worked on it for the 29th, the 30th, and then, no, the 30th, the 31st, and then the 1st. So, I plan on reaching out to him, probably next week, just sort of see how things are going. You know, they will probably need help. Those floats are a lot of work. As I said, myself and previous Mayor McKetty worked for like 2 full days on tying balloons and creating archways, so that was really fun. So yeah, just reach out to him. So that was 1. You said you had 3.
Well, 1, tax season, 2, Canada Day float, 3, I don't know how much I can exactly say, but I hope that our interim CEO has a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
I don't know how much I can say that pertains to that.
We
I-
miss her dearly. I can't wait till she's back.
And I wish the staff the best of success in the interim. But of course, let council know if there's anything that we can do to assist.
Stop tables.
Miss Reed's like, you read my mind. Okay, perfect. All right, Councillor Wall.
I've recently spoken to the curator of the museum, and I'll be continuing that conversation about what we can be doing to help. So I'm going to try to plan that out so not everybody's reaching out all at once. And
Okay, sounds good.
just so everybody.
Do you want to be like the main contact, maybe just delegate Like, tell me what to staple in, I'm in.
I'm in the process of figuring out what we need to do and I'm trying to fix it.
Okay.
This
I don't
is
wanna
not
overwhelm him either, so.
5 people making 5 plans.
I know. 5 people coming at him from every direction. Tell us what you want us to do. Yeah, okay. Do you have a question, Councilor Whittle?
No, I just wanted to highlight one thing on here that I thought was great, is that our CEO was able to go work at the go work with emergency support services
Yeah.
to support the evacuees for the wildfires
Fort St.
north
John.
of Fort St. John.
Yeah, no,
And
she was there for like a whole week, wasn't it? She was there for a while. But she was bouncing back and forth between both for a whole week, not sleeping.
Which is excellent because at that time, pretty much a good chunk of the resources in the Peace Country were stretched to their breaking points. So it was really good that she was able to do that, and yeah.
She was a huge, huge, huge help. Okay, anything else? Moving on to 12.2 action items. Looks good.
And the low priority ones are still kind of ongoing, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're on there. Okay. Oh, Councilor Whittle.
Yeah, so number 2 for Iron Wolf, I just wanted to.
Yeah, it is on there. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, number 2, Iron Wolf. So I just want to make a note that Iron Wolf is working with some private companies and stuff, and they've been working towards improving the ball diamonds, and it's actually looking pretty good. Or one of the ball diamonds, the start. You know, it's starting, and there's some corporate sponsorship and stuff up on there now. So it's nice to see that they're starting to move forward, and it's great to be working with an organization that's putting some time and effort back into the community.
We still haven't heard from them though, hey? You know, I was just talking to him over Facebook. I'm gonna have to go down there and nudge him. Cause he's in like the busiest time of year, so I totally get it. Like he is doing a youth drop-in, by the way. Tuesday nights from 12 to 16-year-olds. It's free to anybody in the community at the football diamonds, free drop-in baseball. I'm so stoked he did that. I was like highlighting him on my mayor's report. Tuesday evenings, yes, at 6 p.m. I think. The information is on what's happening in Kuskokwim. I got to share it. That's what I talked to him. So he is doing drop-in, and I'm so excited. So that's awesome. Okay. Oh, wait, Council Wall.
I'm very pleased to see public transit is on here. Looking forward to hearing about that once it's yellow.
Okay, Councilor Rattle.
In regards to action item number 9, park upgrades. In regards to the park upgrades, I actually had a conversation with a disability advocate, and it was actually quite an interesting conversation about making playgrounds infrastructure accessible. Swings for those who are in
We were
wheelchairs.
just talking about this, Ms. McNair.
Like,
literally yesterday.
Well, those with a lack of sight, lack of hearing, like certain different things that are going on. So yeah, just making sure that the infrastructure is accessible and that all those can everyone can interact.
Yes, and we've just recently are part of the, what's it called? The accessibility committee thingy that we're supposed to be a part of. Needs assessment? Was it the needs
PRD.
assessment?
It's a PRD.
Yeah, it was a PRD thing, but anyway, there's lots of accessibility grants, so that is something that, yeah, we should definitely look into. You're giving me bedroom eyes over there, Councilor Wall.
no.
He's just like, he's like, gets intrigued, I'm telling you, the eyebrow goes. Yes, Councilor Wall.
So I wasn't going to bring this up this meeting, but I've been looking into a couple of grants. And there is a grant available to any municipality actually in the United States or Canada for asphalt art.
Oh, yeah, right, you were showing me that, yes.
Yeah, and I think that would be really cool to put into our park upgrade because we're doing this park right here in the corner.
Yes.
We need something cool down the main street for
Did you
free.
send the information to Ms. Stokes?
Not yet, I'm still doing more research on it. So I
Okay.
want to figure out more about it before I just let you go.
Yes, when you find out more, send it off to her. Councilor Whittle.
I never worked with regular parks. I think it's a good idea to make it more accessible because I do believe there's some legislation that's supposed to be coming in the fall that's going to make a requirement. So instead of waiting until we're told to do it, it's going to start looking into that now.
Councilor Rabel?
So then further to that, because this was the direction of staff, do we need to amend that as a motion, or we just entrust staff with
Just
that?
be something we keep in mind, hey, the accessibility bit.
Province compliance that we have to have in place by the end of
Okay.
Or maybe by September, we have to have some kind of a plan in place.
Perfect. It'll be something that's already on our,
So anyone who is been talking to you should reach out to the office.
Okay.
And say their needs or direct people to us. We need to know.
yeah, that'd be great.
Exactly, because
Yeah, Laura.
not just the basic thing, but actually being innovative about it and making
Mhm.
sure that, because, it's surprising, right?
No, exactly. Perfect, yeah, no, get them to reach out, it sounds awesome.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay, moving on to capital and special projects. Anybody see anything in there?
A lot of things on the go.
Amazing that this list is empty. Counselor Rabble?
Just to say a comment though, in regards to ditches and culverts, I am thankful that culverts have been replaced and that the new tender steamer thing is helping kind of alleviate those flows. But with this heavy rain, I must admit that a lot of water was moving off the highway. A lot of culverts were absolutely maxed out. And that's a once a year event. That's not 1 in 100, that's not 1 in 50, that's every single year we get 2 or 3. That's a 1 in 6 months event.
Yeah, that's part of that drainage study.
And if our culverts are maxed out, that's kind of worrying, because if that downpour had continued for hours and hours and hours and was socked in,
Yeah.
that would have caused problems.
We are slowly whittling away at the drainage study, is my understanding, so it is something we are slowly whittling away at. It's not something we can do all at once, but, as the years go on, the impact in the community will be less and less because we've been working from the bottom up. So, Councillor Wall.
Speaking on the same point about the paving culverts, road upgrades, I've been hearing from 2 residents recently, by recently I mean yesterday, about the lanes behind the homes. The drainage in the lanes is awful in some areas. There's schools there, it kind of washes out people's yards. Like, have we considered putting culverts in behind people's driveways and lanes? Yeah. Like in the alleys, yeah, because some people there's little ditches on one side and people's driveways go right across. And it floods the yards upstream of.
That'd be the landowner's responsibility, the homeowner's responsibility to do that, because I know I live 10 feet outside the village, and if my culvert washes out, it's my responsibility to replace it.
There are certain things, I know, I have had a few residents reach out to me in regards to flooding and rainwater, and when it comes to flooding on your property, that's your responsibility. As long as your culvert is doing its thing and the municipality is keeping it up its side of stuff, when it comes to that, my advice is often for them to build a trench that sort of leads towards
In the lanes,
in the alleyway.
The alleyways don't drain,
Yeah.
and they're flooding people's yards. So
I don't know enough about that, no, honestly.
the village needs to do something. When we're doing this study and we're doing these upgrades, I think it'd be awesome to look into where these problem areas are, and what the village can do to prevent future issues.
Well, that was part of that drainage study. They did an entire study on the community on where the low-lying problem areas are, and then different ways that we can do to alleviate the pressure in those lower areas.
They look at the lanes though.
I think they looked at the entire community, but I'm not 110% sure. What you could do, if you wanted it, is you could basically write the residents' concern in an email to us and Stokes and maybe see what information you might. I would start there. Generally, I would just write an email including all of us and Ms. Stokes, and then see what information she sort of comes back. Councillor Rabble.
So from my understanding, I'm not an engineer, but it appears that over time, the laneways in some circumstances have become more and more built up. More material has been added, yards are slowly sinking as people compress and compact them, so it's this differential land, right? And so that water just comes right off, and and the roads, the alleyways have become so compacted, just clay and rocks, and so it just flows right into people's land. So it's just kind of a question, and you'll discover these secret little channels that have filled up with grass and weeds over time, and you clear them out. But if one person does that, the next person doesn't, the next person doesn't. So I think it's essentially drawing our attention to the fact that alleys, in addition to roads, do provide an essential artery in our drainage of our municipality.
Yeah, no, that is definitely, like, I would start there, and then that might be like a bigger conversation going forward. Remember, the time you're adding in fancy new culverts or drainage systems, it costs millions of dollars.
Yeah.
We do have a $4 million lagoon project coming up. Okay. Yes, Councillor Wall.
I'm not talking about like completely overhauling every lane in the village. I'm saying some of the maintenance of some of them is quite poor, and just regrade it back down so it's below the yards, and instead of the lane and the roads draining into people's yards, have it the other way around. Just
I don't know enough about
slow
it.
down a bit.
Yeah, I don't know. Email everybody and we'll see what we find out. Okay. All right. Did you have a question, Councillor Will?
Nope.
Okay. I was unsure. You sort of did this.
I was debating if I was gonna ask a question, but.
Okay.
I guess because
All right.
I don't know what my concerns were.
We're gonna move on to council calendars. So, we are already coming to, oh, it's not the 17th of June, it's the 21st. Make sure we make note. We've all been saying the 17th this whole time. The community is gonna be like, wow, these guys are meeting on it. No, it's the 21st.
That's gonna be a really long meeting.
Yeah, holy macaroni. Anybody have anything to say on June?
Oh.
No? Okay, well, no. Oh, you have something to say on June. Where are you
I
going?
believe June 22nd, there is First Nations awareness.
Oh yeah, don't forget the cultural training is on the 22nd. Can you make a note to add that in? Cultural sensitivity training, I think it is, or it's done by the PRRD and some of us are registered for it. Good note, Councillor Whittle, thank you. All right, moving into July. Councillor Ravel.
I'd like to make it known that approximately between July 11th and 22nd, I will be, what, sorry?
Well, I'm gone the 2nd to the 7th, and you're the only other person who can sign, and I thought you were gonna say those dates, and I was like, please don't be gone when I'm gone. I can't go. Oh, never mind, I'm good then.
Oh, but anywho, what I'm getting at is I'll be probably away from the 11th to the 22nd. I haven't finalized my plans, but I will be further away. So I will actually be absent for the July 19th meeting.
Okay. Is that confirmed?
It is highly likely, and regardless, I will use that time off because I've been planning it to just go out in the bush and totally disconnect, so.
He just comes back looking like the dude from Castaway.
It's needed. You gotta just kind of.
He's got his own Wilson. It's like, I'm all for it. Okay, well, I'm gone from the 2nd to the 7th. I'm not in town in July. I'm outie, going to Moberly Lake.
And it's become who's acting mayor.
I don't know. Maybe you are, or you? I think it's Councillor Wall's acting mayor.
Because it's January, February, March, and April, May, June. Oh yeah, and then it ends with me, and then it becomes him.
Wow! Congratulations! Don't burn the community down. No, I'm just kidding. Councillor Bill.
So 2 things. One, I don't plan on going anywhere in July.
You liar.
No, it's August and I'm leaving.
Oh, you're right.
So I don't plan on going anywhere in July. And the only other thing is Councillor Rabel, if you're going out in the bush, make sure you file a trip plan.
Yeah,
So I don't have to confine
so he
you.
doesn't have to confine you. He's busy enough. Okay, Councillor Wall, did you have anything to add?
I will be gone the same days Councillor Ravel is gone, and I will make sure I give my trip plan to Councillor Ravel.
It doesn't do you any good until we
my trip plan to him.
And when it comes to safety, you're individuals as well. One for all and all for themselves. Okay, so you both might be missing the meeting on the 19th. What are you guys doing, man?
Possibly going to Ontario.
Well, I've got family out there, and they're netting up in.
What happened to the bush? That's the city. You're going the opposite direction.
That's expensive to go all the way there, so.
Oh, okay.
But just out of curiosity, how would a person actually go about filing a trip plan?
So actually, if you go to adventuresmart.ca, it's a program all across Canada. You can actually fill out a trip plan there for your daily adventures or your week-long adventures, and you can actually put an email address in, so it'll email it to people. and notify them what your things are when you're supposed to be back. And so that actually, if you say you sent it to myself, I can get a notification when you're supposed to be back, and if you haven't been back yet, then it gives me pertinent information on where you work. So yeah, I've got your smart.ca.
So letting somebody know your location when you go out. Okay.
It's like we tell the kids, always
Good
tell
one.
grown up where you're going.
Plug, come on.
Unplug, yeah, I get it. I totally hear you. Okay, we're gonna move on to Councilor's report. So, Councilor Johnston, you're up.
I attended the OCP community engagement over at the community hall. My other meetings with the sustainable energy and BC Hydro were always during the day at 9 o'clock in the morning, so I haven't been able to make those ones.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And other than that, I've been pretty uneventful.
Okay, all right. Councilor Rabble?
I too attended the official community plan event at the community center. A lot of great input. Good to see citizens out and giving their input. There is still the survey available online, and it's open until June 12th. So there's still that opportunity for people to have their say in the official community plan and let us know what people want for the next 4 or 5 years. In addition to that, I attended the library meeting on June 1st. A Wine for Books is planned for September 23rd. Very excited to see that. They have 3 new members of the municipal library, so that's very good, very exciting. The Summer Reading Club, this theme is going to be Journey Through Time, and it's going to be happening in July and August. From my understanding, there's little prizes that you win, so, youth and children, teens can all get involved. I think it's not really, it's children of all ages.
Yeah,
so
it's really cool. It's
0
fun.
to 99, if
Yeah.
you so please. There's actually a seed library that they're starting up. So citizens can come over and pick up seeds. There's seeds that are donated. So contact the librarian about donating seeds or about retrieving seeds from the seed library. And then they had hosted that emergency preparedness workshop. The turnout wasn't what we had hoped for. However, the librarian mentioned that 9 packages were actually handed out later because people came to the library and said, hey, I wish I would have attended. What information should I have?
Oh, cool.
And so they actually handed out 9 packages.
Wonderful.
So that was really exciting to see them. And then the other question, so the question back from the library board would be, wonderful highway signage, but from my understanding, there's still a sign that's potentially supposed to go in front of the community center.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious as to the timeline of that.
I know we do have it. It has come in, but I know our works guys have been super busy with getting everything ready for the summer season. I'm hoping they'll have it at some point in time this summer, but
Okay.
I know I did mention it to our public works director and Miss Stokes about 2 weeks ago. And they are aware. They were originally waiting for the frost to sort of get out, and then they were kind of waiting for all the water and everything else. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but I don't know. If you guys could put a bug in his ear, just to remind him. Because there's 2 signs. There's one that's going next to the rink, and then one that's going right across from the community center, so.
And that's just lovely to identify our municipal infrastructure and services. The last tiny piece would be if members of the public don't have a computer and still want to do the OCP survey, they're more than welcome to go to the municipal library and fill it out on one of their computers. The librarian will assist, is what I've been told. So,
Perfect. Okay, cool. All right, Councillor Wall, you're up.
I attended the OCP community engagement session at the community center. That worked out really well. We had a good attendance there. I also went to the Chamber of Commerce AGM where I spoke with a few different councillors from Dawson Creek and MLA Mike Rooney. Something that was brought up to me there was, or by one of the Dawson Creek councillors, was if we are interested in seeing where our water comes from and going to the water treatment facility and getting a tour, we're more than welcome to ask. They've done it, and it's our water too, so we're more than welcome to ask them if we would like to see that.
What's that?
Well, yeah, we are paying for it, so it'd be kind of good to see. And then if we have any issues with our system, or like what we had this winter, we can always understand a little bit more about how the system actually functions.
So I'd like to put a motion on the floor here to ask staff to ask Dawson Creek if they would be willing to give us a tour of their water treatment plant.
Okay,
Second that?
seconded by Councillor Rabble, thank you. Discussion in regards to the motion? Councillor Rabble?
I think it also, there's the possibility for the water treatment plant, but also the water recycling plant as well. So that would
Oh,
also
cool.
be really interesting.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh yes, the research plant.
Research plant.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I would
cool.
say both the treatment plant and the research plant if possible.
Okay. Any other questions? No? All those in favor? Unanimous and carried, thank you. Okay, anything else, Councillor Wall?
Yep, I've spoken to a few different residents. I've had actually quite a few, like last week or so has been quite busy. People are upset about certain things here and there, so I would also like to put a motion on the floor to, how do I word this? Look into grading select laneways this summer. Just going through with the grader and making them not rutted and like some of them are too high and they're rutted and cars can't get through.
Yes, I don't know, is that a staff thing, so that might not need a motion, that might just be a direction. Yeah, you see, the other difficulty is too, we cut the public works by 2 summer students. So they're down 2 people this year, because in the budget, they're trying to save money, so they are trying to find a way to make that up, but it has slowed things down a little. That's why it took a little bit longer for some other things to get done. But I wonder if we could change that motion, Councillor Wall, to just directing staff to,
Maybe just let it be known that people are concerned about it.
yeah,
And if public, how can I word this, the motion? So let Public Works know that there are concerns about it, and if they have time, it would be appreciated.
yeah. I don't think that needs to be like a motion. I think that can just be general. You're all good. And then just maybe like check back on it in like a week or so, give them a shout and just kind of find out and
Next
then
meeting, see what happens.
totally.
Okay.
Okay.
On top of that, I've also been doing some research into grants, and there's an environmental one I'm quite interested in. I'll bring that up next meeting though, when Ms. Stokes is in.
Yeah.
I believe she already has looked, she's already asked me about it.
She's already looking into it, yeah. She's been on it.
And then there's also the street painting. I just want to run that by you guys here. What do you think the sentiment would be if we put art on the road?
Well, I know art was definitely something that was mentioned in the OCP. People are looking to see more art and culture within the community, so that definitely was something that was mentioned.
There's like this one particular grant out of the southern U.S. but they found that actually putting art on the asphalt in the road not only slows down drivers, it makes the asphalt cooler in the summertime, so it's not so hot for animal paws and things like that. And some of the work that, I mean, you could have whoever paints it, but it actually, I never
It looked
thought.
really cool,
it looked
yeah.
really cool.
I think my only question is, what shape does the road have to be in? Some of our roads aren't the best, and to be honest.
Well, when we do, because we are
Yeah.
slowly replacing.
We are slowly starting to repair them, yeah. Councillor Whittle?
Oh, I think that's a good idea, but the other thing to remember is we live in a, how would I put this politically? Basically, we live in Redneckville, and I can almost guarantee that it doesn't matter what the artwork is on the road, somebody's gonna do a burnout on it because that slick surface makes your tires smoke really well, and they can do some pretty good burnouts. I'm not condoning it, but I'm just saying it's something that's gonna happen because we've seen other artwork and other art
Yeah.
pieces and stuff, and that continuously becomes a complaint within other municipalities that people do burnouts on it, and it's simply because of the friction between your tire and that it makes really good
I
burnouts.
wonder if they do it for sidewalks.
We don't have very many of those.
Sidewalks.
I could.
Councillor Wall.
May I comment? Yes. So, something I've seen before is, like UBC had a bad problem with spray painting. So what they did is they actually put out a rock instead of painting.
Yes.
And yeah, people didn't do it.
There's
So if we
different
don't
ways
want
to
people
deter it.
burning out on our streets, why don't we just paint a big rectangle of white
off in the industrial zone at the other end of town.
Burnout zone?
Let go, eh?
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh my gosh.
If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it. Why is it not the young
Alright, anything else?
No.
Okay, Councilor Whittle, you're up. I'm trying to get us out of here before 8:30. You guys are not helping me.
So this last week, because I've been in a meeting now, it's my first one, I think. Just
Like a month, I'm telling you.
I've been out of town for work, and when I was in town, I've been busy with evacuation alerts and notices and that kind of stuff due to the wildfires. And so I haven't been able to do a heck of a lot when it comes to council or to my regional district stuff. In all honesty, because I've been busy with some civil emergency stuff and some work that actually pays some bills. So, yeah.
Okay. Alright, I'm up.
Good work.
Yeah.
Thank you, work, yeah.
On May 18th, I attended as the alternate director to the PRD meeting that was held in Dawson Creek. Meeting went really, really well. That was my first one, so I really totally felt like a fish out of water, but it was all right. They were all pretty nice to me. And then May 23rd, I met with the Pouskevee Public Library director and a member of the public in regard to planning what games are going to be provided to kids on Canada Day. So we went out and went to a big sea can that was full of a bunch of cool carnival games, picked some out. On May 25th, I attended the OCP evening at the community center. I was happy to see the turnout that we got. I was hoping we'd get a little bit more, but hopefully the people who couldn't attend have been filling out the stuff online. On May 27th, I met with a local artist in Dawson Creek to talk about potentially getting some murals painted in the community. I was really excited when I saw that arts and culture was actually put on the OCP by community members, because there is a mural artist I know really, really well in Dawson who's been working with the art gallery. And I talked to him a little bit last year about how great it would be to have some murals around Pouskevee, specifically down at Pouskevee Park, because people are still using it for weddings. So I'm hoping to hear from him soon. I'm going to text him next week and remind him I need some information from him for the next council meeting. So I'm hoping to bring you guys some stuff to look at. On June 1st, I met with the Legion board regarding the use of their, oh no, I can't talk about that because that's the mayor thing. Never mind, scratch that. I've heard from the grapevine there's somebody in the community that managed to get a summer market happening in the back of the Legion. But it can't be the mayor, so it's not. So there is going to be a community market running once a month over the summer. It is free for all the vendors. They just got to show up and set up their tables and tents if they have them. They need to bring their own chairs and stuff, but it's completely free of charge, and I'm so excited about it. Yes, Councilor.
Who would we approach? Like, if you're a vendor, do you approach the Legion? Who's hosting it?
You approach me on a personal, not the mayor level. Miss McNair is like looking at me like, stop talking. You know what? This is harder than I thought it was going to be. Yes, Councilor
I
Hall.
want to congratulate you. I did a lot of effort trying to get a farmer's market in, and I couldn't do it. So congratulations on that. You're the one that did it. You get the credit for that.
Thank you. Yes.
On top of that, though, it's happening behind the Legion. Have you considered filling out one of the road closure forms and having it in the street, making a street market?
Well, the more stuff I do that involves the village, the more difficult it becomes because I'm the mayor. So I'm going to run the first one just in the back and see how well it goes. And
If we did it right front here, people, I would.
yeah, I know, but then if I do it on village property, they have to have insurance. So yeah, it's very costly. Right now, it's free. Yep. So I'm going to stop talking about that. I think there's summer market happening over the summer. I'm very, very, very excited. 2 residents, this resident and another one, that are doing it together. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. And then on May 6th, I met with the staff and just sort of checked see how things are going since June 6th. Since we're missing Miss Stokes. I just came in to see how things are going. Everything's going great. Thank goodness we have such amazing, competent staff because they've been doing an amazing job. And so thank you guys. And the other ones that aren't here. You guys have been working really, really hard, and it's been a
smooth as possible transition, so it's really.
So yeah, that's me. Councillor Rebel?
Since you had mentioned the art gallery, there on June 23rd, there's the art auction happening at the Northern Lights College aircraft maintenance hangar. So if people are interested about attending that art auction, which will be a great community event, from my understanding, the MLA may be there. There's a variety of entertainment, food, anything, possibly the entertainment, the MC. Anywho, members of the public are more than welcome and invited to either go to the art gallery in Dawson Creek at the Grain Elevator directly or to their website for
Cool.
tickets for the event.
Yes, good point. Awesome. Alrighty, well, we have nobody here for question period. There's no in camera. There's no rise and report. So, adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Seconder?